Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Pat Spizzo, and my goal with this channel is to share insights from my experience building and maintaining production quality web applications. A little bit about me. I've been a software engineer for over 20 years. During that time, I've worked for some Fortune 500 companies, I've worked for some startups, and I've even launched a few solo projects. I've also designed large enterprise size applications and worked on small solopreneur style applications as well, and everything in between. Those applications have been run on some of the stacks like Java, JavaScript, Next.js, old school LAMP stuff, WordPress, and some others. Now, one thing I don't have a lot of experience with is with AI. The last couple of years have really changed how software engineering has been done and opened it up to a whole new audience of people. And the new AI tools and programs that are out there have really changed the landscape. And I unfortunately haven't had much time to play with it. So one of my other goals for this channel is to start experimenting with all the different AI tools and programs out there and sharing my journey as I learn AI. So if you follow along, you'll be able to get the perspective of a senior engineer as I go through and try to figure out the pros and the cons of these different AI tools. Now, whether you're building your application using something old school like VI in a terminal, which I don't recommend, or you're building the entire thing using AI and prompts in Cursor, there are still fundamental engineering principles and concepts that would apply no matter what application you're building. These apply to anything you're building. Knowing these concepts and principles make you a better developer. They allow you to build better, more stable applications, and they also make your applications easier to maintain. So in the long run, it makes it faster and easier to add on to your application as you add more features and fix bugs. Some examples of these foundational coding principles are things like keep it simple, aka KISS, don't repeat yourself, also known as DRY. There's separation of concerns, modularity, and a bunch of other ones as well. A lot of these are pretty well covered in other videos and blog posts, so I'm sure I'll be covering them at some point. But what I really want to cover in my videos is where the rubber meets the road, and that's actually getting your applications deployed out to production and getting users actually using your application. You want to make sure that your app is stable, and how you do that is by following certain common patterns and ideas to make sure that your application is running well. Now, you can do that by having pre-production environments like a stage or a dev environment so that you push your code there first so you can make sure that everything looks good before you actually roll it out to your customers. You can have continuous integration and delivery, also known as CI/CD, and that allows you to automate some of these things. So you automatically will be testing your code as it gets checked in, automatically testing it when it rolls out to your pre-production environment, and hopefully also testing it when it rolls out to your production environment. Leading right into that, another concept is automated testing during the dev process. You want to be able to have unit tests that you can run on the dev's laptop while you're actually writing the code. You want to have these tests that run during the CI/CD process and also that run when your code is running in production. That also leads to automatic monitoring of your production systems. So it's not just when you roll out new code and new features. You also want to periodically be checking to make sure that your code, your application is healthy, responding to requests, doing what you expect it to be doing. This way, your users are also seeing that your application is healthy. Now, for a lot of these concepts are applicable once you actually have an app up and running. So if you're writing something brand new and it's a brand new feature, a brand new application you've never written before, chances are you're probably skipping a lot of these steps because you're excited to get the application out to production and in front of people. And you know what? That's totally fine because there's no risk yet when you have no customers. But once you actually have paying customers, and especially if you're making good money off your application, knowing and implementing these concepts will help you sleep at night. They'll allow you to know that your application is running and that as you make changes, the code that's going out to production, going in front of your customers is actually going to work. Another example of one of the topics I want to cover is just how you're actually going to be able to design the architecture of your application. Before you write a single line of code, you should have an idea of what tech stack you're using, and also why you're picking that tech stack. What in your application needs what you're picking from the tech you're choosing to write your code on. So you should be picking your tech stack based on the requirements of your application and the budget that you're expecting to be using, along with how heavy of a usage you're going to be expecting to see this application being used by. And you should be realistic about that too. You shouldn't be thinking, well, this is going to be used by millions of users eventually, because if you can't even get it in front of like 100 customers working, why are you wasting your time building it for a million customers? Another example is if you're building, let's say, an application that really only needs a single page application, a front end application, right? And you decide, okay, I'm going to build this thing now. I'm using Cursor. You end up building something in Next.js, and you think, okay, it's time to roll it out to production. So you look up how to do that, and you end up realize, okay, I'm going to roll this out to a virtual private server. So you get maybe EC2, which is super expensive, or something like Hostinger, still pretty cheap. But the fact is, if you have a simple SPA, all you need to do is bundle that down to some files and host that on a static file server. And that's almost free, or in some cases, it even is free. So that's an example of knowing ahead of time how you're going to roll out your code will be able to make sure that you build it on the right platform and then also roll it out the right way so you're saving money actually in production. Anyway, these are the kind of topics that I plan to talk about on this channel in the future, hopefully. So if this sounds interesting to you and you want to follow me on this journey, go ahead and click subscribe, and this way you'll be able to get notified when I have new videos that come out. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.